Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the town of Vesuvius. That's not one I want. That says in camera. Let me move back here. To the regular open meeting of council, September 26, 2023. So could we please have at 2 p.m. Get the time right soon. Approval of the agenda. And are there any late items? Mrs. Robinson, no, thank you. Could we have a motion to approve? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. And down to water matters. And that's easy. Hang on, I have to read it first. So that the reported expenditures from accounts payable for water district information be received for information. So as of September the 26th, that's today, it's in the amount of $528.28. That isn't very much.
That's why I moved it.
And I'll second it with the idea that it can't get any bigger for the rest of the year on a month.
Oh, no, we don't guarantee that. So it's been moved and seconded that we receive them for information purposes, correct? All in favor? Thank you very much. And hardly worth the gas. Is that what you just said? And next is staff reports, the grant evaluation committee requests. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. Before you is a recommendation from the grant evaluation committee. We actually met and discussed 3 items. One was the Resort Municipality Initiative, moving it from 25,000 to 100,000. And this was done during budget deliberations. The second item was waiving the fees for the Drum Run Adventure Tour, as well as providing overnight camping for their RV and tent. And the third one was to actually review a grant application from the Osoyoos District and Arts Council for the remaining RMI funds for 2023. The recommendation before council is that council approves increasing the visitor activity enhancement portion of the Resort Municipality Initiative from 25,000 to 100,000. And that council supports waiving the fee for the use of the Sonora Community Center on November the 9th, 2023 to host a Drum Run Adventure Tour and pay the fees associated with parking their RV and tent overnight at a suitable location.
Can you tell us, have you looked for a location? I thought a lot of the places were full, or maybe that's a better time of year to hopefully have some spots open.
We did look at one place, and that would be at Desert Park.
Yes.
So they do have a couple of spots available there. I'm not sure if the size of their tent or how big their tent is, or if it's just a regular size tent, that wouldn't be an issue. But if it's a commercial style tent, we just need to know what the size is and know exactly what it is.
So you're in contact with these people and to find out that information?
I can get that, yes.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, I think so. Okay, so what you're looking for is the recommendation that we increase the visitor activity enhancement portion from 25 to 100,000. And I believe some of you were on that committee, so you're making
option 1.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Second it. Thank you.
I just want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
For the motion. This moves up if it gets passed, and does it stay every year after it, or do we have to look at it every year if per se we don't get RMA funds?
Through the chair, so it'd be administration's intent to keep it at this number unless there's a change to RMI.
Okay.
So once council approves some type of a
Just
number like this, we'll keep it in the base.
So let's take a vote on that part. All in favor? Thank you very much. And I see that the Drum Run Adventure Tour, are they putting on some kind of a presentation here? Do you know anything? I think I saw it a while back, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yes,
what it
Madam Mayor,
entailed.
it will, then that's why they'll be using the gymnasium, and it'll be open to the public. And the purpose of it obviously is to, the fundraise for the Children's Foundation. Yeah.
Children's Foundation. Good. Children's Hospital. Yes.
Hospital, sorry.
Foundation. Okay, is there anybody who would like to make a motion on this? Thank you, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Chong. Any questions? All in favor? Thank you very much. And the third item that you have on there, reviewing the grant application for the remaining use, that'll be
carried on for the 2024 funding dollars,
okay.
because the event that they were looking at was the Family Day in 2024.
Okay. Okay, everybody okay with that then? Thank you. And next is the council code of conduct. And is that Mrs. Robinson? Go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you, your worship, members of council. Today in front of you is the council's code of conduct policy. We're looking for approval on it. This was a regional process, and in April 11th, council made a motion that we, instead of being on an individual basis, we were going to go regional with how we considered it. And then it was brought forth on to the committee of the whole for councils to view it, to make comments on it. And so now we are bringing it forward for your approval.
Good. Thank you. And we have talked about this before, so it's just a matter of bringing it forward to the open meeting for to see how we feel about it. Is there anybody who would like to make a recommendation, make a motion? Councillor Bennett?
I'll move that. You approve it?
Option one. Okay, is there a second? Thank you. Councillor Poderica. Any other questions on this? Thank you very much. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, 22, general. Okay, we have the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. As of September the 26th, 2023, there are balances in the following funds in the amount of general cash, $765,584.37. Sun Bowl cash requirements of $5,689.25, and net payroll accounts of $111,821.70. We have two options to receive them for information or to request additional information. Council, what's your, go ahead, Councillor Poderica.
That we received.
Thank you. Option one, is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Chung. All in favor? Thank you. Next is their permissive tax exemption bylaw. Is that, are you going to speak to that, CAO?
Yes, your worship. This is an annual bylaw we've passed for several years. Basically, the charter gives council the ability to provide tax exemptions to various properties. The list is attached within the bylaw, and that list has remained unchanged for numerous years. So council approves this, then we advertise it in over a couple of weeks, then it comes back to council for final approval.
Thank you very much. So we're looking to have this read for a first, second, and third time. Councillor Chung, Councillor Bennett, seconding, all in favor. Thank you. So we will now move on to the CAO report. Mr. Risley.
Thank you, your worship. Yeah, over the last couple of weeks, I attended UBCM with you folks and went to the first responders appreciation event in Gyro Park, Music in the Park, which is a fantastic event for our paid on call first responders and other first responders who assisted us during the fire this summer. From the community services area, registration started for the fall programs. Most of the programs are up and running. The Terry Fox run occurred a week or so ago. We had 35 people attend and they raised $3,700. So great work on those that participated in the run. We've also partnered with Desert Valley Running Club to host the 3rd annual Jingle Bell Run. So there'll be more information to follow as that is organized. I just want to do another reminder for our park washrooms that'll change on October 15th. So those that will remain open though during the winter, they will still be closing at 7. And Lions Park washroom is fully operational. So last go around, I indicated there were some mechanical problems. Well, that is now operational again. New businesses in town. Ellen Coke Wellness, a business license was issued to them. From an operational services perspective, they're doing a lot of wastewater mainline flushing. So if you see public works crews looking at holes, that's what they are doing. There's a lot of camera work going on. So just taking a look at their infrastructure to see, how it's doing. And that pretty much wraps up my update, unless there's questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Risling. Is there any questions? Could we then have the CAO report received for information? Councillor Poderica, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you very much. And now council reports. Councillor Chong, you're first.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Attended UBCM last week with all these fine folks. It was an experience. I think we did a lot of really good advocating for our community, meeting with multiple ministers, including housing and municipal affairs as well. Lots of great workshops, lots of great learning and networking as well. Before then, we had our budget meeting and also the public hearing. And we have made changes to the budget and after hearing the concerns of the community. And I think it's important to note that. And also attended the Wednesday First Responders Appreciation Night. Made it just in time for Hotel California. So that was fantastic. And that basically concludes my report.
Thank you. Councillor Poderica.
Thank you, Your Worship. So yeah, on the 13th, I attended the firefighter appreciation event and the first responder appreciation event down at Jarrow Park. Then began UBCM on Monday morning bright and early. Started off actually with a really interesting it was a panel discussion with Dr. Bonnie Henry regarding decriminalization of drugs and public use in facilities, and the province realizing, acknowledging that there needs to be some changes in the current legislation, especially around public use in places like park facilities and whatnot. So that's kind of the start to a very busy UBCM week. We were fortunate to have 5 minister meetings of council present, including a joint one with Oliver. Hopeful some really good opportunities moving forward from that. And followed up with on Saturday, made it back just in time with Councillor Chung for the Pride Arts Festival. So joined them for the parade and stuck around for a couple hours afterwards. Watched some of the performances and meet with some of the vendors. And weather wasn't the greatest, but a good turnout considering that and everything else that's going on in town and in the valley that weekend. So overall busy couple of weeks.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was a busy weekend. Okay, Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. As you go down the list, it's hard to just repeat what other councils have said, but we did go through the budget 2 weeks ago thoroughly, item by item. We did the best we could at that time. Also, we met with 4 or 5 ministers lobbying our town for money and different things that could bring to the town. So I think they listened to some of our concerns, but hopefully when we put forward some type of paperwork, hopefully we'll get support. And also attended the firemen's fundraiser, which was fantastic. I think they had the biggest crowd there was in the park that night, over 1,600, around 1,600 people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. September 13th, I attended the library board meeting and basically they've announced now there's no more fines. But you will, that does not eliminate if you wreck the book or repair them or don't return them, you're still gonna have to pay for them. little security problems in Vernon and some of the libraries with needles and drop-ins that are not welcome to the library. September 18th, 19th, I attend the MIBC board meeting and AGM. A little slower growth this year because a lot of the communities have moved over to MIBC. Because of the forest fires, MIBC communities are lucky because basically it's more liability. And so the rates aren't really gonna be that affected because we've only lost one fire hall as far as we knew. The other companies that sell the insurance to the communities have house insurance, and a lot of houses are lost, so they're gonna have some large claims. So expect some big increase in next year in the regular house insurance, but not the MIBC. Attended the BPCM, and I think the big thing I got was when we talked to the ministers, they all kind of said, be shovel ready. And unfortunately, that means a lot of extra cost to communities for consultant fees and assessment management. When we looked at our budget, there's a lot of extra fees, and people are saying, what about all these consultant fees? But basically what the government is saying, grant comes out on this day, be ready, because if you miss it, you're not going to get it. You're going to have to wait 2 or 3 years. And if you do get the grant, it's not necessarily going to be for 100% of the cost. We could still be stuck for 30, 50% of the cost. And I guess it kind of bothers me too sometimes by the time that event is ready to be done, the costs have doubled. So the other thing was Airbnb. We kind of talked to them, and they're trying to work with communities. But again, if the unit is not registered with them, there's nothing they can really do either. So, and the only other thing, I guess, was the speaker when Premier Ebby spoke. We didn't really listen to it, but basically it was housing affordability, wildfires, community safety, toxic drug crisis, decriminalization, and local governance finance. So basically that's where we went to, and it's still all there. And we came back. It's just how do we get it all dealt with? So I guess with over 2,000 delegates, I think all of us learned a little bit from a lot of those delegates who went through this stuff with us before. And so basically, and I visited the fine arts event on the Saturday after we got back. That's my report.
Good. Thank you. So besides the 5 minister meetings that we had, housing, health, municipal affairs, forestry and safety, I also went to several others because I'm on a couple of other committees. So I'll tell you a little bit about those. The CAO and I spent several hours on the Monday at the Resort Municipality Initiative meeting, and our CAO had been asked to put together a presentation about the Emergency Operations Center in Osoyoos during the fire. And he had some good pictures, some what we learned and how we could learn from, do things differently. And I remember, and all of the other municipalities were listening, and they were quite interested in hearing how we dealt with it, what were the concerns. And one of the things that the CAO said was that you need to be organized, you need to be ready, and you need to practice in order to know how to handle things when it happens so quickly. So that was a very good presentation. They were very appreciative of Osoyoos presenting this, and they had quite a few questions. We then had breakfast with the Minister Popham, on the Friday morning, and because she wasn't able to come to the first meeting, and each community had a really nice picture of one of the projects that they had done with RMI funding. So there were 14 different ones, and we each sort of spoke to it. And ours was a view of the plaza down at Gyro, which used to be U-shaped parking down there. It wasn't well used. It was a place for campers to stay overnight, and it was a bit of a zoo. So it really it was a nice picture that staff had taken, and we sent that down to them. So it was a really interesting presentation, and I think Minister Popham was very pleased to hear from all of us, saying how much the RMI meant to our community, and we're hoping that that will ensure that we can continue. Another one that I was at was a Highway 3 coalition. That's the mayors and chairs from Hope to the Alberta border. And we did meet one night for a couple of hours, and then we had a meeting with the Minister of Highways. And what we do, the group, is come up with a group with 5 top priority things on the highways that we think that the ministry should look at. And they've been very good at looking at these over the years. And when one of those priorities goes off the list, then we look and see, okay, what's next? So one of the top priorities this year of the 5 is to look at Whipsaw Creek on the Hope Princeton. Many of the other twists and turns there have been fixed over the years, and that's very much appreciated. That one is a big one that we need to continue to look at. So that's a good thing for the minister. They always appreciate having that organized. Ministry staff always come to our meetings that we have a couple times a year, and we give them reasons why we think those projects are important. And of course, it's up to them to in the long run, but they do appreciate it. And lots of the projects that the Highway 3 coalition people have suggested have in fact been done. So that's a good thing. And Okanagan Basin Water Board. We had a couple of meetings when I was there. We did have one meeting with West Kelowna, who wanted to talk about the zebra quagga mussels, and then we discovered that same day that they have found live larvae in the Snake River in Idaho. And that's pretty scary, because Idaho has a very good plan to look at how to prevent or how to have boats clean, drain, dry. They have a sticker program there, which is one of the few places, so that once you have cleaned your boat, you get a sticker to show that you understand and that you're doing that. And yet there's still zebra quagga in there. So we then had another meeting with, can't even remember now, there were too many of them, with the minister, Minister Cullen, and we told him that this was imminent and that things needed to be picked up. And I mean, all kinds of suggestions, like stop boats from other jurisdictions, Alberta and Washington, from coming in to British Columbia. If you want to come boating, leave your boat at home, come on up, we'll rent you a boat here. And apparently that's been used in the Shuswap. So it's a bit scary, but we do know that the deputy minister had asked Dr. Sears, could she provide some information on the sticker program and what had been done, which she did. And she emailed Anna and me last night and said, we're in Ottawa right now. We've just talked zebra quagga mussels to the DFO, Fisheries and Oceans. And so the word's getting out, because this could be very serious. And we know that between 70 and 140 million dollars a year would be needed just for mitigation if there was an infestation here. So OBWB is really working hard to try and do everything possible. I think you were sent a letter that quite recently. It was sent to all of council, maybe 2 months ago, on what the 5 asks are, and we hammered that home again. I also attended an early morning session on building safely in a floodplain. And actually, building in a floodplain is not advised at all, but sometimes there's so many places in the province that are in floodplains that they have to come up with ways to make sure that it is as safe as possible. We had a presentation from Squamish, which not only has the possibility of flooding from the rivers there, but also the ocean, sea level. So that was an interesting one. And then Vernon has the only one with a flood mapping finished in the Okanagan, and they had somebody speak on that. And then there was a lady from Grand Forks who spoke on how they managed over there and what they're doing and how they're trying to make sure that people are building safely. So very interesting. So it was a good conference, but it was busy, and there were 2,000 delegates there. So easy place to pass on germs, unfortunately, and I think that's where I have got some of this. So I'm trying to lay low, but we're looking forward to doing this again next year, because it was very successful to talk to people and try and get some, make sure that they understood what Asuyas needed. And I think we did a good job of that. And we had good weather in Vancouver, not like this. We were lucky. It was sunny and quite warm for the whole week. So that was a positive. So that's my report, and I will now move to the in-camera session. And pursuant to section 91 of the Community Charter, a part of the council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered related to one or more of the following: 91F, enforcement; 91G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality; 91J, information that is prohibited, or information that, if it were presented in a document, would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Could we have a motion, please, to move in camera? Thank you. Councillor King, Councillor Bennett.